And welcome in everybody to the EGF Power Series Valorant Qualifiers Day 1. I'm here sitting with Worst Cast, and we have quite a lot of games bringing you today. We are going to be starting off with Fairfield versus Canisius. And worse, we do have Fairfield starting on the defensive side. I gotta hand it to you here with these teams, they definitely have a lot to play for here. They're trying to get into the championship rounds. I mean, what do they got to do to start off here?
Well, go starting out on bind, like you said, it's
Yep.
Fairfield on that defense. Typically considered a slightly a defender-sided map, but not really too much of an impact on it. So pretty fair and balanced map overall. But it can be quite difficult if don't have good setups for the site takes because there is no mid to play for. There is just no mid at all. There is no way to get people into certain ratty positions outside of maybe some hookah plays. It's definitely much more of an execute kind of map. There is some kind of mind games you can play with the teleporters, but not in such an extreme way like you can play for map control on mid, like on an ascent or a split, where you play heavy for mid control and then split where you're going to go from there in terms of what site you're going to end up ending. There's nothing like that. It is bind. The whole gimmick of this map is that there's no mid. There's going to be teleporters everywhere for you to go across and try and make some quick rotates to try and get maps with no look placed through mid available.
Yeah, I mean, Bind definitely has a lot of options in order to, swing back and forth, between sides, really throw off your enemies. I do want to mention, though, also, we do, with the scheduling here, we have this is Group 3 that we will be following along with today. Fairfield and Canisius is obviously the first step in that, but Group 4 will be up next as far as down the line. But with Group 3, Fairfield and Canisius first. Then we have Georgetown, Maris, and then Fairfield will be up again against Maris. And then capping this group off with Canisius versus Georgetown. And looking into this group, they're all playing for a spot to move on. These are best of ones, so you get two chances, and I gotta say, on Bind, it definitely is one of those ones where it can kind of go either way, right? Because if you have a good strategy coming in, all of a sudden you maybe just snowball and hard dominate, and then on the flip side, maybe some weaker teams can take advantage of Bind. And I gotta ask you real quick, how you feeling about Fairfield and Canisius? What are you thinking? Who might take this?
Yeah, so I don't actually know too much about their Valorant or even CS:GO rosters if there's any overlap there. I know some teams do have CS:GO and Valorant overlap in terms of their players.
Yeah.
I'm not quite as knowledgeable about their Valorant teams. I know I'm more side on I'm more about their other rosters in other competitions such as League and Overwatch, but not so much their Valorant. So from what I can kind of talk about these teams from the get go, from like the theory side of things of going into the map, I'm gonna kind of more think about default strategies
Mhm.
that tend to come out, less so what are maybe some niche strats that are employed because of a player's agent pool, what they can or cannot play or what they're comfortable on, because that can always change things up. It's a lot less of a the not higher up you are in terms of tiers of play, the less comp reliant the game kind of becomes. It is very much can be set up where the individual play styles can kind of overtake certain games if the enemy team doesn't have the setups or coordination to kind of shut down individual key players. So it can just come down sometimes to raw gun skill or just comfortability on one single agent.
Right.
Even that agent is just an Astra, right? A very complex agent in terms of utility usage. And you don't think of that Astra as a carry agent, but if that player is really, really good at that Astra and they're just doing so much utility by themselves, basically, that can be very strong for any team.
Yeah, we're starting to get into agents now, and this is one of my favorite topics, right? Because I love seeing jets coming around the map. I love the Viper gameplay. Those walls create so many obstacles, and as you just mentioned, Astra, man, the utility that character brings and the setup that can be done with that. What kind of one-on-one combos do you like to see, especially on something like Bind? You got a lot of that mobility with just the map itself. Will we be seeing anything new, any different strats you haven't seen, or do you expect to see, some more of those? I wouldn't say generic, but standard comps.
Yeah, so this was kind of a big debate for a very long time in top level Valorant. Like tier one Valorant was E versus NA. Some of the EE teams were not running Astra for the longest time, despite NA was basically perma-run Astra, and Astra was seen as this like basically perma-ran character. You have to have an Astra on almost every single map. We kind of returned to that Astra is just such a strong character right now in terms of a controller, the amount of utility you get out in terms of the amount of smokes you have, how much utility you have in the sucks and the gravity wells and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and the wall is such a good ultimate in terms of it denies so many angles, allows you to take sites, allows you to disengage from fights, allows you to call off rotations if you need to, because it this kind of looming dread of like, can we push that wall? Who's going to swing that wall? What's going to happen through that wall? Well, you don't quite know. And that's why Astra has kind of been the top controller for so long. Sometimes paired up with another controller can be solo run as a controller by themselves. Oftentimes paired up with a Viper, maybe a Brimstone if some people are feeling frisky. Some people are feeling particularly EU today. Some Europeans maybe drifting in. Um, but
Yeah.
that's kind of been the controller so far in terms of Astra has been so dominant. Sometimes paired up with a second controller, but can be run solo.
And I'm surprised you didn't mention Neon right there, right? You got her in the background, and
It's
I
hard to
know that's
mention.
not. Oh yeah, I know it's hard. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
tough to make work, especially in a team environment. But she does get those rotations off really, really quickly. Speaking of which, right? Uh, I do want to talk about, and this was something that was brought up in a couple of ranked games I was in a little while ago. It's the old debate, and I do want to get your take on it of Phantom versus Vandal, and if I just want to hear what your thoughts are on it.
I knew this was gonna come up because my head, my head wants to say Phantom, but
Oh
my
yeah.
hands always say Vandal. I don't know, something about it. Um,
I love that. That's great. That's a good
yeah, my
point.
head says the Phantom. I mean, the Phantom, especially in for certain agents, even like some agents, just like I really like the Phantom. Viper, for
Mhm.
example, really likes the Phantom because you're playing in smokes a lot of the time. Ultimate comes down, you have to play smokes. With those no tracers coming out from the Phantom, it's just so good at spamming through smokes. And there was some top level analysis about Phantom versus Vandal, and it was coming out like, yeah, Phantom is generally use case better on a lot of maps. We had then, since then, actually come out a couple more longer range maps. You had Breeze come out, you had Icebox as well with some longer range engagements. Icebox a little bit less so because A site can be very claustrophobic at times, same as if you get deep into B. But basically, teams never go deep B anyway, so you're never in there until you start getting fights off. You're just sage walling off, you're just Viper
Yeah.
walling off of Ice, a Snowman, and then just setting up your utility.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of the map changes, right? To bind. If I remember correctly, a main choke, you got the box change, right? That happened a little while ago. And then, I think that was like the major change, really.
That was the only change, I believe.
Was it the
Fine.
only change? I thought maybe B got something, but no, I think that was the only change. Well, how does that affect, right? Attacking A as opposed to B, right? Because I know everyone likes going through hookah, and definitely down long, but you got the A site that has that major change in there. I mean, how does that affect bind?
Um, no more funny sage walls. No more funny sage cheese. Really can happen there. It has
Mhm.
allowed it so the attackers can actually get into short a lot easier because they can kind of double swing it on two different elevations, and you're not really just kind of like scared of that box the entire time. You're not like, oh my, is there sage gonna just gonna run around and just destroy me with a judge? Like, what's gonna happen? Or is there a jet gonna sit up there with knives and just gonna pop out and kill me instantly? Or what's going
Right.
to happen there? So it's a lot more. It's a little bit more open for the attackers to play off of. Kind of, I believe from Riot's side, trying to kind of counteract how slightly defensive sided, and especially specifically that point could that site could be. Um,
Yeah.
so trying to counter that out a little bit, but not really too much consequence on the entire like how the map plays. It's one of those really minor changes.
Yeah, and as we've seen, and for anybody that's just joining us now, we do have our map pick of Bind. Obviously, the bands came out of Fractured, Haven, Ascent, and Breeze. So those maps will not be played in this best of one. And that, again, is the best of one. And Fairfield will be on defense. So we'll be getting into the game here pretty shortly.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we do get to sit here and ponder what this win could mean going forward for these teams, right? We want to talk about momentum and how that carries in best of ones, right? What would an impact win here for either one of these teams do for them going forward in this group?
Yes, because I'm not quite sure what the teams think of each other.
Hmm.
I'm not quite sure what they kind of guesstimate the power level of every other team they're going up against in their group is. Any
Yeah.
win, in my opinion, can kind of boost the momentum going in. You back up one win, then two wins, and you're like, okay, let's get 3-0 and then move on out of the group as the top seed. That's kind of how you're thinking about it. And I say this in any esport, any sport that I cover, anything that I cast, I'm like, momentum, morale, that whole thing is massive for any team environment. Or even
Mhm.
just a single thing. Like if you're playing chess, for example, even then, like it's a little less so of an
I
impact because
dig
there's
it.
not people. And even then, it's not as much as like you're playing off of other people. You're kind of playing off your opponent then. And if they
Mhm.
get demoralized, you play off that demoralized. But that kind of thing with your teammates, it's like you can play 10% better with good morale, or you can play 10% worse. So. Uh,
Yeah.
it's kind of like that is it's so important to have a good team environment and especially an emotional leader.
Yeah, and that's so true, getting this momentum rolling. But now we get to see how the picks roll in, and right now we see Canisius sitting here with two already locked in, the Jet and the Sova. So they're going to be looking for some info and some playmaking. What else would you like to see combined with Canisius' comp here?
Yes, and we
Go ahead,
could
right ahead.
maybe. I mean, I don't know if the I don't know about the Omen. Like I said, I don't know about the Omen. Omen has been one of the biggest
Select your
victims of the
agent.
Astra meta so far. You see very little Omen. Even in regions where Omen was predominant for a very long time, Omen has fallen by the wayside. So been kind of even Brim was down there for a while. Like it was Brim and Omen, like, oh, we're just sad controllers being outshone by Viper and Astra, and now even Brimstone is starting to see more play than Omen. So Omen's just by himself, lonely once again.
Yeah, and as you foreshadowed, Astra is going to be picked up there by Fairfield. Um, Absolutely fantastic there for them because of the points you mentioned earlier. I have to assume that if we look at these comps, I mean, your guess on who's winning, mine would be Fairfield. Where are you leaning?
Fairfield. I mean, one has an. It's not just the Omen. Obviously, like I said, composition is a little bit less important, but one does have that kind of more traditional setup. With even the Rays, I'm gonna say Rays is so important in terms of denying angles, denying locations on specific sites. Just can get random kills sometimes if you really feel like it. I mean, Project A, obviously, abilities don't kill, but that's kind of what Rays embodies. And they also have Chamber, who I think right now is extremely strong on these smaller maps, such as Split, such as Bind. So it'll be interesting to see um, how that Chamber ends up playing.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, as promised, here we go. The game is starting up, and we get to see what strategies these teams want to bring out. And it does look like a bit of a B hit here coming in for Fairfield as they are pushing up strong. They're going to be go ahead and sending the Roomba in. Not going to be finding anybody, but he does push away as they now know and going to force out Jet. So they are going to be pressuring in. A little bit of damage comes through. That's very nice. As early trades come through, as Barry finds the second pick for the team and the third. That is a nice string to start out as Pova finds another pick, and that's going to be a strong defense, only losing one in the first round.
Yeah, and Laughing at Onions, I believe, is also on their League of Legends squad. I believe I've casted them a couple times, so that's pretty interesting to say the least. Um, but we're gonna, and I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
kind of seeing how these next couple rounds, obviously you're taking pistol is super important. It's going to give you that basically give you the second round. You can't just give it, you can't just throw it away, obviously. But you still need to you kind of have a free win in terms of the gun differential you have. I mean, Classics up against that Spectre is really just a rough deal unless you get a really lucky right click like we saw from the Omen in that first round.
Yeah, and now we're going to see them, go with a little bit of a different strategy here. Fairfield, opting in for the A side. They're going to be pressuring it out a little bit stronger this time, moving a little bit more as a unit. And as you said, the gun advantage is with Canisius, but it is forced out there. And a nice trade by Grifter, getting at I'm going to call it at right there because I'm not sure of the name. But nice wrap around here as Claw finds a bit of an advantage for Canisius, and now it's all up to Grifter. Did pick up a gun in the middle of that, so has a chance here with the 3v1 clutch. I say that, but no armor was on, and the Marshall is enough to take down Grifter.
Yes, and now, kind of now, up 2-0, you're going to have a bonus come through where gonna see them stick on to those Spectres, Scouts, whatever. They're not gonna upgrade, and now you have a full buy coming out here for the attacking side, and we're gonna see 4 Phantoms and that Vandal, so they obviously go, oh, never mind, 3 and 2, a little bit more of a split, but they obviously seem to prefer that Phantom on this map, but they're gonna be trying to set up perhaps for a B hit here. But the read is in from Canisius as they have 3 already set up. They're gonna have someone swing on long and potentially try and take it, but the suck is gonna deny it.
There's that utility you talked about so much, but ooh, quick headshot. As Canisius is not messing around. Even with the disadvantage in the buy, they do find the first pick there, and they're putting good damage down with these shock darts. Really making them think about where they want to be, as Fairfield, with the superior gun buy, trying to find their way in. Gonna get a little bit of info here, so now they do know that someone's on the back, and they take full advantage of it, finding those 2 picks, knowing that there can be only so many spots, and they are trading out heavily right now. But the Ares trades one back, as Chamber's gonna go down, but they do now know where Sage is. They just have to be very careful. Now Rain is gonna give her spot away. She's gonna be coming in through hookah. And there's a couple, all 3 are quite low for Fairfield, so they have to play this brilliantly in order to keep the advantage going for them. Bomb's still not down yet. They are going to go ahead and commit to it with the utility put down by Astra. It's going to be a fairly simple plant, but there it is. They lost track of the Sage, and now it's a 2v2. They got to find their way in. One is going to be looking to the side, and that's early information. Now they know. And this is one in hookah, but Claw finds it. Now it's all on laughing. Can they get it done? They don't know where they're at.
They don't know.
And this is perfect. Oh no! Whiff the shots. Oh, so perfect positioning. We're so perfect.
You gotta get a little bit more patient there. You gotta click the one person, stop the spray, go to the next one. You just panicked too much there. Almost had it. You're not gonna end up finding it, but still. I mean, that's kind of disastrous for Canisius to win that bonus, right? Now you're going to have them up so much in economic tempo, and only one person living. That means everyone else is going to have that forced by Claw. Claw does end up upgrading to the Phantom as well from that little gun duel, and so it's just a complete economic overtaking now by Canisius. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Canisius.
Yes. Canisius,
Sorry
I've been saying it wrong the whole time as well. Canisius is the name. Sorry for that. Canisius, our fault. But we are going to go ahead and start in our round 4. And yeah, I mean, now the advantage and momentum is in full swing for Canisius, as they are just pressuring super hard. Maybe a little bit too hard for Barry, trying to find those off-angle kills. You know, that's a trade up in guns. I mean, worse. I'm looking at this, and it's just all Canisius right now. I mean, how do they break this defense?
Yeah, so maybe just try and play some more splits, play slower. We're going in a minute. We're already trying to take a site. We're just getting picked off one at a time as we're playing really split, but without any way to help each other. There's no way for trades to come out. We're just kind of solo peeking, or we're trying to maybe one person peeks, the next person peeks, and then they don't scale off of it. They don't use any utility off of it to try and push into certain angles to take certain positions. I just think they're kind of playing very much for themselves and not really understanding how to use their utility to break open certain power positions the defense might have.
Yeah, I mean, Canisius is in full command on, this defensive side. They're doing such a great job of putting the poke damage down, making Fairfield really trying to decide on where they want to go. And now they're going to decide A is their side again. And only 2 picks there. But Fairfield trades it back, and now it's a winnable game for Fairfield, as they're pushing it together, and they're doing a much better job in this round of double peeking and finding advantages where they didn't before. So now Fairfield in full command of A side. The bomb plan is going to go down, and it's on the Silva to try to find something from heaven, as we see a lurk coming through, but they do know he's there. So this is going to be incredibly tough for these teams, or for this team to push in. Canisius isn't going to find it there. Barry going down in showers. Now it's all on Silva. Gets a little bit of a peek. Trying to decide if it's worth. Do we save or do we go out there? Gonna put the recon dart out. Knows where one is. Didn't spot the second, and that's gonna be it. And Fairfield on the board.
Yeah. So now we start getting some more momentum in our sales here, not just in terms of how we're feeling, but also in terms of economy. We start damaging them. We're finally going to put that jet on 0 credits after this round. If they win this as well, that jet is broke. They're obviously going to have some other money elsewhere, particularly on Claw and that Reyna, but not to buy up the rest of their team. It's going to have to be pretty forced to buy if they go for it, or just to save straight up, as they're going to have operator try to come out for Sergeant McGee here on that jet, try and shut down a short presence, which took them out last time. So they're going to be playing around U-Haul. They're going to be trying to peek out short. They do it just now. They realize nothing's there. They're seeing utility come out onto the B site, and now the rotates come in. They're already two-man rotating in, and Rain is looking for the flank.
Yeah, and I like that Rain is sticking behind, right? Gives you a little bit of a lurk option here. As Laffy just goes in, and he just comes right over the top, and Chamber finds another one on Barry there. So now, we did get one trade back with the jet here,
Spike
pulling out the
planted.
knives. Gonna be looking for something over the top, not gonna find it. And Canisius is definitely in a bit of an issue here, as Fairfield has full command of this site with bomb already down. Time clock is on. Now, gonna be on to Sergeant. That's unfortunate. Had to burn one of the knives there. Gonna be pulling out the op. This does look like a save situation for McGee. Yeah, Canisius just finding their way in here, Claws trying to get a little bit of an angle, but the smoke really not doing any favors right now. I would be shocked if they win for this. I know it's a, oh, never mind, they opened it up, but the bomb is ticking down. They are gonna call it. It is back off situation. Yeah, bit of a tenuous situation there for Canisius trying to figure out what they wanted to do.
And they do end up winning the round. They take some late losses there, so economy's not going to be amazing for them. So that's a little bit of a rough start. Some good exit frags there from Claw and Sergeant McGee. But coming in still, they have the economic advantage so far. They kept the operator, so the jet's not broke just yet. And at any point, anyone's economy could break because these rounds are going down. They're only saving about 2 members. There's no been clean wipe, so they're going to be having a lot of money on very specific people, but not their entire team. The rest of the team is still going to be trying to buy up and trying to keep that really supplied in terms of their abilities and weapons. We're going to see a hookah judge for the stage right now. This is not uncommon, I'd say. Now, but paint shells, this is why you get the raise on this map. Paint shells going to force him out.
Yeah, it's going to force him out, put him on 3 health, hurting pretty bad, and there's no help coming from the teammates, so it's the judge and only the judge here trying to keep it down, and that's not going to be enough as Fairfield finally finding their footing in this game, taking 2 rounds in a row, looking to make a 3, and McGee does find one, but traded immediately back as full storm onto the B site, and it's all on Claw. Claw's got to find some picks here, work their way in, and for Canisius, it is going to be tough. Right? You just gotta have that 1v4 clutch, you know, no big deal. And now this is the start of it. If G here finds this, oh, miss. So that's test number 1 passed. Now can they walk through this door? Gonna go out. Gonna find one. Ah, doesn't find the second. But I mean, hell of an effort there from Canisius.
Yes, hell of an effort indeed, but now we're starting to see Fairfield finally fire back on all cylinders. They've taken these last 3 rounds consecutively, just as Canisius did in the first 4. We're going to see that 1 takes 4, 1 takes 4, 1 takes 4, 1 takes 4. That'd be pretty funny, but not likely, as we're going to end up seeing the judge come out here for the jet instead, not on the Sage playing hookah. Obviously some bad memories about that one. We're actually going to see the Bucky as well, a name I haven't heard in so long, to be playing hookah instead of that Sage. It's gonna be the Sova with a Bucky. I mean, that ever since that nerf came in, that really big nerf that really just took the Bucky out, I haven't seen much of it, so it's quite funny to see it here in the hands of a Sova trying to hold down hookah, but maybe to no avail.
Yeah, and I kind of like it. You get a little bit of a surprise angle here, and there it is. The surprise, they did not expect it there, and they did not wait for that recon dart, and they pay the ultimate price for it as the trade comes through, and that's what you want on the Bucks, at least 1. And the second's going to come from McGee, and I love this. You got a double shotguns going in, trying to make plays. You know you're down, especially in the econ, trying to bring it back. And this is going to even it out a little bit, and Claw finds the second one there, and now it's just Chamber. And Chamber's got a long way to go, but brings it down to a 1v2. And now it's all on the angles that they can take. I don't know if they realize that Claw's super low, but is going to be healed up by Sage here. Now, it's time for the slow game. Claw looking to go for a bit of a flank. Maybe just hold that hookah angle. I don't think he knows that the Sage is there, thinking that they're on elbow. Knows he's got to get the spike.
Teleport's ready.
Oh, I love
30
that.
seconds left.
Oh, but he wasn't quick enough on the fingers to teleport out. That was a nice play, a nice thought there.
Yeah, a little bit of a nice thought. And now we're going to be seeing the response back from Canisius. And the kind of the thing that's lacking from both of these comps, less so for Canisius because they have the Reyna with that blind, with that Leer, it's kind of a flash coming out here, right? A lot of the time, you're not seeing as many Jets pop out on bind because you want that raise, because you also kind of want a Sky to slot in that position. You want an Astra, maybe a Viper, sometimes Chamber. Like, there's a lot of things you have to have in terms of utility-wise that Jet, who is normally just everywhere, on bind sees a little bit less playtime. Canisius still play as a Jet getting deleted from the side of Canisius there. Now it's the time to push, but no flash to really dissuade these people from holding these angles.
Yeah, and I think that utility light really makes it hard for them to kind of push on in as a unit, especially with that Jet trying to get a lot of these big playmaking abilities off. But we are going to see a lot of ultimates used in this round. Chamber already found one, and they do end up using most of them to go up 3-2, and it does give them control of the site. So well worth to get control, but now they have to use the post plants. How are they going to defend this? As Brennan's going to go down, that's pretty big. They needed that one. And another one goes down here. That's 3 for Claw, and now it's all on Grifter. Grifter with the Phantom, looking to make a play. Nice angle here, so that way they don't get blinded. Knew they were coming from the back, and that's 4 for Grifter to secure Fairfield another round.
Yes, and so far, it's been no breaks for Fairfield. They are not playing slow defaults. They are not trying to take any round slow. They're just going to send it on a site they so choose. And so far, it's been mostly B. They have gone A once. It succeeded off a double swing from short. They burst out showers. So it's worked for them before, but they have just never gone there in the past. We're seeing Canisius maybe think they're going to come back onto A. We're seeing the pings come out. The read is correct so far. 3-stack is there. Omen on top of boxes right outside of showers. Do they expect that to come through? I believe that's a Frenzy sitting up there. But they're going to be 2-man rushing showers. There's nobody there on the side of Fairfield to notice that it's happening. They're just trying to play contact through the wall once they go through. They're contacting U-Hauls as well.
And I was saying there's still enough time for Fairfield to get this spike down and use that
spike planted.
It is going to be a hard peek whoever goes through. They might just try to wait out the wall, and there it goes down. But they were ready for it. Barry is the first one to suffer. But Sergeant trained it on the back, and the 2 guns that were purchased for Canisius are coming through, and they end up picking up
one enemy remaining.
A couple more kills, and now it's just on Grifter. Can Grifter do it? No, not going to be the hero this round, as Canisius is going to find their 6th. And that's a big round to pick up, especially since they only bought 2 Vandals in that round and trying to bring back the momentum for them.
Yes, and right there, it was kind of, they got the plant down, they got on the site, they got everything going, and then the angles fell apart. You had Sergeant McGee win out in U-Haul. They caught an unlucky timing from the Fairfield Jet. They were throwing out their smoke. They couldn't respond. They got headshot. They come back out. I'm not quite sure how Claw found another kill. Then they're just holding very predictable angles. Wallbangs come through. The Jet dashes, updrafts over, finds the chamber, and really it was just the post plant. Once the couple angles started falling, they never adjusted where they were looking. They weren't really covering for each other in the best ways, the most efficient ways possible. They weren't, it wasn't horrible post plant, but it wasn't just as effective as you need to be, especially when you just don't win the 1v1 duels when you're holding 1v1 angles.
Yeah, and now Fairfield putting it on hard mode. Couple classics, few sheriffs in the game. Gonna be looking to take slower angles with this, just trying to find some picks. I don't know if they're expecting to win this round, but anything's possible, especially with some sheriffs online. And of course, Chamber always has the special sheriff with them. Gonna be backing off here though, and to be completely honest, I don't expect Fairfield to win, but finding picks is the name of the game here, and Laughing does find one. It's not gonna open up any sites, but I think mission accomplished if you're Laughing right now, and if you can find one more in this round, you'd be pretty happy.
Yep. You'd be pretty happy indeed. 1 or 2 more, and you've got a pretty successful eco. It's not the best you could do. I don't know what that dash getting used a little kind of scared about what could happen right now, but gonna be on Laughing again. Can they hit the 1-tap here in U-Haul? Not gonna find it just yet. A little bit of an awkward duel happening right there, but no more damage is gonna be done. The eco is repelled successfully. Great job there to not lose any more to those sheriffs. And now going to the next fight, you're gonna have Sova going to be your op, probably going to be holding long to start after the dart. So you dart, and you peek because they're going to be shooting dart most likely. So the answer to that, if you see that dart coming down, you need to go for a double peek. One holds the dart, one holds the angle the Silva's going to peek, and see if you can catch them out in their grade. But that might not just happen. They're not set up for it off the bat.
Yeah, and I like Silva's, matching on each side. Not this time, though. Obviously, unlucky on the guess. Use the owl drones to spot each other out and kind of, make it a wash. But as the Silva's going to see, nobody down long B. So rotates might start coming in here pretty soon, but it is a sneaky Astra sneaking up with a bomb. And I don't know if they're expecting this rotate, as the hookah does go down. Egg is going to be the first one to drop, and now Silva's going to be rotating out. Trade comes back from Sergeant as the lurker at A is taken care of. So they know they don't necessarily have to worry about anyone peeking through on A. Slow take of B right now. As Fairfield finally makes their way into sight, they are going to be putting the plant down. Grifter able to get it pretty secured. And now it's about the post plant. Where can they find the angles? This Grifter's going to be taken from Barry in the back. Didn't see that coming. The flanks are on. And another one gets through as Claw finds G-Hill. As Fairfield is slowly falling apart as they all go down, stuck in the middle of the site with nowhere to go.
Yes, and again, we're just seeing this. Every post plant, everyone's going to take an angle for themselves to hold one-on-one, not expecting the Omen to come through. Grifter, only one who was kind of holding that, going to be holding long, falls to the back, and then that just completely breaks the entire hold. Now you have multiple angles, multiple players have to start being cautious of, and you can't just hold these crossfires that you really want to do. The hookah duel doesn't go the way of G-Hill. Again and again, we've seen G-Hill in these post-plant situations, taking U-Hauls, trying to go for a 1v1 angle, taking hookah, go for a 1v1 angle, and neither time they have won, and it's kind of broken open the site for the retake. And we're gonna have to see either the comes in where you're starting to play two-mans in those key positions, two-man hookah, ready for a trade, two-man U-Haul, ready to hold it, or even just kind of holding U-Haul but ready to swing on it if G-Hill does take contact, or even just some utility ready to be used if contact is acquired. That just hasn't happened yet. You're not seeing util reactions off contact. You're not even seeing player swing reactions off contact, and that is something that higher level teams have in spades, and that's kind of what separates them.
Yeah, and we got to point out, leading the lobby right now, Sergeant McGee being a playmaker for his team on this jet, having a lot of influence. So is Claw. Got to point those out for Canisius. And Claw, again, wins their duel in the 1v1. Going to be picking up the orb and a bit of health for that overshield. Now it's on, right? You got the B plant in full swing, and it does look like they might be looking for a nice hard rotate. Keep a couple players back. Make them think you're still going to be there. I love that, but the rotation is coming through. They don't have very much information on how many are here, but they do know a couple are here. So the rotation is going to finally make its way to A, and they have no idea as Fairfield is still on this B site.
Right here.
The one does come back to A,
Last
and it is
player
the chamber,
standing.
but Claw gonna pick up 3 there, and now the rotation's coming back to B, and this is the shenanigans that we find on Vine quite a bit as the rotation's back and forth, and it's
30
gonna be
seconds
on
left.
the slowly chamber, and just a pistol round here to try to bring it back.
Yep. Very little ability to deny rotates on this map from the defensive side, or even the attacking side, both sides. Though you can't really stop their rotates. If they want to, they're gonna rotate. Most dangerous rotators see that teleporter in quote-unquote mid, kind of branching way between the two of them. Now it's kind of an impossible task here for Horatio. You're going to be walking in 5 HP. A gust of air could take them out. There it is. The gust of air comes through and Horatio falls. 9-4 now for Canisius. And man, it's looking rougher and rougher. This is going to spawn into a 10-4 lead perhaps, and if they win the bonus like they did last time, 11-4 is just an absolutely awful spot to be in. You're just so far behind in terms of you have to win so many rounds in a row just to stay competitive. Your economy can never break ever, or else you basically give over another round free round over. And this is just going to be mentally taxing for Fairfield to try and bring this comeback.
Yeah, Fairfield has to find the footing on the defense. This is going to be a really, really big round for them to take. If they can stop this extra buy coming in for Canisius, then that would be just a huge win for the econ, momentum. You got to stop it from getting to double digits. But Fairfield doesn't see the hookah taking coming in as it's a full rotate as they tried the 5-man A hold, and it was scouted out and it was sniffed out, and now Sage is going to be able to get this plant down. And now
Spike
it's all about the
down, B.
post plant. Oh, I'm sorry. B. Yes, of course. And it's all about the post plant now as we see the gun power coming through. But G-Hill finds one there. Gonna be looking. Not gonna be enough. It's the shorty, not quite there. But I do like the utility coming out. Gonna be a little bit interesting to see how the rest
Last
of this plays
player
out here.
standing.
As Claw ends up finding a third in this round, and it's just too much for the Classics to handle. There's only one shorty for Fairfield, and that's going to be 10 to 4 for Fairfield. Oh, I'm sorry, for Canisius.
Yes. They are now in a spot where they have to win this bonus. If this bonus does not go their way, it is going to be abysmal. 11-4, you lose bonus, your economy is broken, and that is just such a tough task to ever ask for. They go for the 5-man stack on A, trying to gamble if they're going to go A or B. You don't really know quite yet. They haven't shown much. They've gone B both times. They've gone B before, so maybe. Oh, they've actually kind of played like off of where you were playing, so not even much. I mean, now G-Hill just goes and throws their gun away. The one advantage they really had in this round, the gun advantage, is now getting equalized slower and slower. And we've seen how good Sergeant McGee is with the guns in his hands. So this is a frightening task for those trying to hold on.
Enemy tag.
Yeah, and Fairfield needs to find a hero on the team, right? They need to bring this cooperation in order to slow down this roll that is Canisius right now. As the spray comes through, and Horatio does end up picking the one, but it is traded immediately back. Again, trades coming through on both sides, but in the end, it is favoring Canisius. And now Canisius takes full advantage. Again, they have the angles. It's so hard to peek right there as Grifter goes down, and you're putting it all on Laughing. And looking for the first pick here. Not going to find him. Now they're using Luka, and that is the ace. It's the ace for McGee, the top fragger in the lobby.
Yes, and McGee is kind of showing themselves off as this the biggest threat right now on Canisius, maybe followed up by Claw, but right now it's kind of the duelist show. What you exactly want from your duelists is them going in, going ham, using their abilities to get themselves killed, generate value early in rounds. It's actually what you want from them, and they're doing that in spades. And if that continues the rest of this tournament, the rest of this group stage even, they're going to be in quite a good spot. And right now, they're kind of, actually the Reyna is kind of set up on this map where it is a lot more of those duels can come in. Utility can't interrupt, but right now, neither side is really playing super heavily to these really hard execs onto sites where utility is going to be doing a lot of the damage.
Yeah, the utility is so hard to pull off, especially with Classics. As we see a few Sheriffs again coming through. They are clearly saving for what is potentially the last round here, as we just see Sheriffs and Classics all over the place. But we get to find the last Claw on the backside, but Patty gonna be finding one, picking up one with the Sheriff. If you can find another one, could be a good round for them. Not gonna be able to find it as the double peek comes in, and that is 12-4. Canisius putting themselves in this group at the top of the table and putting on a great performance for the rest of the rounds to come.
Yes, really putting themselves up here, 12-4. This is almost an unthrowable lead, I'm gonna say, but I might be jinxing it. I'm sorry. If this ends up going to overtime, I'm sorry, everyone. It's my fault. It's the caster curse. I can't help myself. It's just what I gotta do. But for what we've seen so far, it's kind of for Fairfield at least, it could kind of be like, okay, we focus on the next game, we focus on the next match that we're gonna end up playing, and we'll see what we can do against a different team. Because right now, at the very least here, Claws and Sergeant McGee have your number time and time again. As we're actually going to see Sergeant McGee get in the teleport to try to bait out rotates and see if anyone's unlucky enough. But look, they take the terrestrial way of going it. They're going to walk it the entire way through spawn. So they're not going to be falling for that just yet.
Yeah, what a great idea, though. I love when the teleporters are used to maybe throw teams off, and they're not quite sure how exactly where bomb's going to be rotating to. And it almost kind of worked a little bit as they started to rotate to A, but they are going to be sticking to the B site. And Fatty is the one to find that out as they take him down first. And now it's on them. They got to find a way to break this back as Grifter gets one, but he's not going to find the second. Healing is going to come through for Egg. Claw gonna find another one, but now it's just a 3-3, and the advantage now is definitely
one
up
enemy
with just
remaining.
one alive for Barry. Gonna have to clutch this out. 1v3, not gonna be able to do it, as Horatio and friends find another round and this unthrowable lead. They lost one right there. Is the comeback on?
I would say no right there. I kind of want to see some cleaner or some more like advanced stuff come out from Canisius, like going into the later parts of the group stages. Because right now, so far, they've kind of been winning heavily off of the fact that Sergeant McGee and Claw just don't lose a 1v1 ever. They're just not losing those duels. They just are hitting all their shots. But really, a lot of the game plans are, we're just gonna force we're just gonna hard brute force a site. We're just gonna try and walk in and just one tap people. There's no real place for information, and then playing off that information. There's some cool stuff coming out, like the TP thing, like I said, but there's not like information plays where we're trying to gather out how many people on this site, try to bait out some utility from the enemy team, because right there, they just walked into a 4-man stack that was a rotate 4-man stack, and then obviously the Raze as well was right behind them, so basically walking to a 5-man stack because they just didn't have the info on it. There has to be some kind of poking and prodding and using utility to try and, like especially your Sova, to try and find out how many numbers do they got there, where are they set up, can we push that on certain angles, and that just wasn't accomplished there. So just kind of defensive player dift, like player count dift.
Yeah, in Canisius's mind, they feel like they've, maybe found a little bit of that info they were looking for, as they're just going to go ahead and rotate to B. They said A was a little bit too scary. We saw a couple. Didn't quite see everyone. So to your point, that was, they didn't quite get all the information they wanted. Now it is Fairfield's turn. They have to fight this defense, otherwise it's all over. And Fatty going to be trading Claw, and that's a big one
30
down.
seconds left.
Second behind Sergeant McGee. But until you can take down Sergeant McGee, he's just a menace on the field. And there it is. Horatio's going to find it, but trade it immediately. But maybe the damage is done as Fairfield is down 2-3. Oh, the nice trades come back, and the angles were there. And Canisius going to be taking our first game of the day.
Yes, the first best of one goes the way of Canisius, and they're going to be sending Fairfield to that 0-1 position. But it's not the end of the world. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get there. Here we are. Hey, you got us. Our great faces now back up on that screen, and it was kind of a dominant force of mechanics I saw from Canisius, but I didn't see on such an exec heavy map where you can have a lot of really preset utility driven takes. I wasn't seeing anything that like impressive, but they're solid. They had a solid game plan, but it was very one note, and if another team in this group perhaps does have a way of recognizing that and adapting accordingly, we could be seeing, even with the ability for Sergeant McGee and Claus to just frag out of control, it seems like we could see them kind of get messed up by some more coordinated trap plays even.
Yeah, and we will see Canisius and Fairfield a little bit later on today. But up next, we do have Georgetown versus Maris. So go ahead, take a little break. We will as well, and we will see you right back here in just a minute.